The night was quiet in the observation station that floated at the edge of the Galactic Empire. For years, nothing unusual had happened there. The stars burned in their eternal silence. The sensors beeped softly, and the officers passed their shifts half asleep. Space was calm, until one signal changed everything. Technician Lerna sat before a glowing console, sipping her cold drink and staring at the same screen she had seen every day for years. Suddenly, one of the monitors flickered. The soft rhythm of beeps changed to a deep pulse. At first, she thought it was a system glitch. Then the readings jumped again, strong, massive, and old. Too old. "Commander," she called out, her voice trembling. "We are picking up something large." Commander Edrin walked over with tired eyes, expecting another false alarm. "A rogue asteroid again?" he asked. But when he saw the data, his expression froze. The readings were unlike anything in their database. The energy signature pulsed in patterns, clean, controlled, and deliberate. No natural source could do that. Lerna turned to him. "It's not random, it's transmitting." The room fell silent. One by one, other technicians gathered around, watching the mysterious signal appear and vanish through the cosmic noise. They amplified it, ran translations, and tried every frequency. Then, out of the static, a faint word formed, a word that should not exist anymore. Human. Every officer stared at the screen in disbelief. That word was ancient, a ghost from the past. The Empire had erased the human race from history books centuries ago. Official records said they were wiped out during the Purge Wars, an inferior species that refused to submit. Yet here it was, a living signal calling itself human. Commander Edrin's throat went dry. "Run it again." This could be a trick. They ran it again. The same result. The same pulse. The same word. The Empire's laws demanded that all strange findings be reported to Central Command. Edrin hesitated for a long time before sending the report. He knew what would happen. He would be blamed if this turned out to be false. But something in his gut told him it wasn't. Hours later, the transmission reached the Imperial core. Within minutes, it spread like wildfire through the upper command. High-ranking officers, scientists, and admirals gathered in hidden meetings. No one wanted to believe it. But the signal was too clear, too advanced, too human. And then, all across the sector, the stars began to flicker. First, small outposts lost power. Then communication relays went silent one by one, as if something was moving through space, blocking every line of contact. The entire region darkened, like the universe was holding its breath. At Observation Station 47, Lerna's console lit up again. The signal had grown stronger, closer. She zoomed in on the source. At first it looked like a shadow, but the shadow grew larger, brighter, until its edges glowed with orange light. It was not a fleet. It was one ship, enormous, silent, and moving with purpose. The scanners went wild. The station shook. One of the junior officers shouted, That can't be an Imperial design. The structure, the density, it's off the charts." Edrin leaned forward, his voice shaking. "Visual confirmation, now." The screen blinked and the image appeared. A colossal warship emerged from the void, dwarfing everything around it. Its hull was dark steel, marked by ancient symbols the Empire's language AI could not read. Faint orange light glowed through its vents, and at its rear, a massive thruster burned with a deep, controlled fire. The ship moved slowly, almost gracefully, like a creature returning home after a long sleep. Lerna whispered, "It's beautiful." No one spoke for a long moment. The ship emitted no signal, no threat. It simply existed, silent, massive, calm. The Empire's scanners tried to read its weapons, but all readings failed. Whatever technology powered it was beyond anything they had ever seen. Then, without warning, a single transmission broke through every communication channel in the system. The voice that spoke was calm, clear, and human. "This sector was once ours. We have returned to claim what was forgotten." The officers froze. The message repeated in every known language of the galaxy. It was not a threat, it was a statement. A declaration of existence. When the Empire's ships began to move toward the border, the warship did not react. It floated in silence as if waiting. Its design carried no banners, no flags. Yet everyone who looked at it felt the same unshakable truth. It was human. Back in the Imperial capital, panic spread. The High Council met in emergency session. Some believed it was a weapon sent by rebels. Others feared something worse, that humanity, The ancient enemy had survived and grown stronger in the dark. Old records were reopened. Classified archives whispered of human colonies lost beyond mapped space, places no one dared to search. Rumors said the humans had once built ships that could tear apart planets. No one had believed those stories. Until now. On the outer edges of the galaxy, where the stars still shimmered cold and distant, the human warship waited, silent, watching. In the control room, Lerna turned to her commander.
"What do we do now?"
Edrin looked at the massive shadow on the screen, then at the trembling crew around him. He did not have an answer. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke. "We report what we saw, and we pray the Empire listens." But deep down, both of them knew the truth. The Empire had built its power on lies and forgotten wars. Now those lies were breaking apart. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt something it had long forgotten: fear. And in the heart of that fear, somewhere among the stars, humanity had awakened. Across the vastness of the Galactic Empire, news of the mysterious warship spread like wildfire. Every fleet commander, every intelligence officer, every council member wanted to know the same thing. How could the impossible return? Humanity was supposed to be gone, erased from existence, wiped clean from history. Yet there it was, floating calmly in the shadows, its engines glowing like the eyes of a silent god. In the Imperial capital, the council chamber buzzed with tension. Tall figures in dark robes stood around the central table, a holographic image of the human ship spinning slowly before them. The Empire's Grand Admiral, a cold-eyed strategist named Varex, studied the projection with disbelief. "Size estimate?" he demanded. The analyst's voice trembled. "Almost twice the length of our largest dreadnought. Energy output off the scale. Sir, it's not just a warship, it's something else." Varex turned sharply. "Something else? You mean a weapon?" "No, sir. It's controlled. Every movement is deliberate. It's waiting." The room fell silent. The idea of a single ship waiting for the Empire was unsettling. For centuries, the Empire had been the galaxy's most powerful force. Entire civilizations had bent the knee to its will. Yet now one lone ship made their fleets tremble. One of the counselors finally spoke, his voice filled with fear. "Are we certain it is human?" The technician replayed the recorded transmission. The deep, calm voice filled the chamber again. "This sector was once ours. We have returned to claim what was forgotten." The tone was not angry. It was steady, like someone who already knew the outcome. The words sent a chill through everyone present. Grand Admiral Varex leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "If they have returned, they will learn who rules this galaxy now." He turned toward his aide. "Assemble the nearest fleets. We will meet them ourselves." Hours later, the Empire's most powerful warships gathered near the outer rim. Thousands of vessels formed a steel horizon, their engines burning blue against the dark. Among them was the flagship Dominion's Wrath, carrying Admiral Varex himself. His fleet had crushed dozens of rebellions, destroyed entire worlds, but this time, something felt different. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let's see if they answer." His communication officer nodded. "Channel open." Varex straightened his uniform. "Unidentified vessel. This is Grand Admiral Varex of the Galactic Empire. You are entering restricted space. Identify yourself and prepare for inspection." For several seconds there was no reply. The space between the stars felt heavier than ever. Then the same calm voice returned. "You already know who we are." The bridge went silent. Varex clenched his jaw. "So it's true. Humanity lives." He stepped closer to the display. "State your purpose." "We came to remember," the voice said. "To see what remains of the Empire that once feared us." The tone was polite, too polite. It was the kind of calm that only came from absolute confidence. Varex tried to hide his irritation. "You will power down your weapons and submit to inspection." There was a brief pause. "If that helps you sleep better, Admiral," the voice replied softly. "But know this, you are standing in the ashes of our past." Before Varex could respond, his ship's sensors began to fail one by one. The crew scrambled to restore them, but every system flickered and went dark. Ships across the fleet reported the same. "EMP?" one officer shouted. No, sir, another replied. It's something else. Our scanners can't read the field. It's rewriting our data in real time. Outside, the human warship remained motionless, surrounded by a faint halo of light. It emitted no visible weapons, no aggression, just silent power. Bring in the second line, Varix ordered through gritted teeth. Let's show them what the Empire is made of. Hundreds of ships moved into formation, their cannons charged, energy glowing across their hulls. The fleet looked unstoppable, stretching for miles across the darkness. Yet in the shadow of that one human ship, they looked small, fragile. Inside the human vessel, no panic existed. The crew worked in silence. Their captain, an older man with gray streaks in his hair, stood before the main viewport. His eyes reflected the endless stars. "Sir," said his second officer, "they've surrounded us." He nodded slowly. "Of course they have. It's what they do when they're afraid." "Orders, sir?" The captain smiled faintly. "Observe. Do not engage unless they strike first." "Yes, Captain." On the Imperial side, Varix's patience ran thin. "They're mocking us," he hissed. "All batteries, lock targets." "Sir, are you sure?" a younger officer asked, her voice shaking. "We don't know what that thing can do." Varix glared at her. Fire. The space around them exploded into light. Hundreds of plasma bolts, torpedoes, and railgun slugs shot toward the human ship. The silence of the void turned into chaos. When the dust cleared, the human vessel was still there, untouched. The crew on Dominion's Wrath gasped. Sensors showed nothing. Not a single scratch. Not even a fluctuation in power. "Impossible," whispered the sensor chief. It absorbed everything. Then, for the first time, the human warship moved. Its engines glowed brighter, casting light across the darkness. Slowly it turned, aligning itself directly toward the Imperial flagship. And then over the comms came the voice again, gentle, steady, and utterly fearless. "You've forgotten what we are capable of. Allow me to remind you." The screen flickered and all ships lost contact for a moment. When the feed returned, half the Imperial fleet had vanished from the radar. No explosions, no debris. Just gone. Varix stumbled backward, his face pale. What is that weapon?" No one answered. Every officer stared at the screen in horror. The human ship's lights dimmed again as if nothing had happened. The captain's voice came one last time. "We do not seek war, but we will not kneel." And then, just like that, the human ship powered down its weapons and went silent again. Calm, still, waiting. The Empire's greatest fleet floated broken and humiliated before it. For the first time in centuries, they faced an enemy they could not understand, could not control, and could not intimidate. Humanity had spoken without raising its voice, and the galaxy listened. The darkness of space burned with silent fire. The remains of the Imperial fleet floated like broken glass, and yet the battle was not over. The human warship still drifted, calm and unshaken, its surface glowing faintly as though the stars themselves bowed before it. On the Imperial flagship Dominion's Wrath, Admiral Varix struggled to breathe. Half his fleet was gone, no explosions, no debris, only emptiness where thousands of ships had stood moments ago. His voice trembled with disbelief. What kind of weapon was that?" No one answered. The bridge crew watched the sensors blink uselessly, unable to measure what had happened. The human ship did not advance, did not gloat. It simply turned its massive hull, its lights pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Far away, the Imperial Council listened to the reports with growing fear. Worlds that had never known defeat now whispered that the humans had returned with divine power. Across the outer colonies, soldiers refused orders. Some even sent silent prayers into the void, asking the humans for mercy. The Empire's control began to crack. Varix clenched his fists. "We are not finished," he said. "We are the Empire. We will not fall to ghosts." He ordered every remaining ship to regroup. From the distance, reinforcements poured in. A second wave of dreadnoughts, carriers, and destroyers, their engines lighting up the dark like a rising sun. Thousands more weapons locked on the single human vessel. In the heart of the human ship, the bridge crew watched the spectacle with quiet eyes. Their captain, Arden Kane, stood with his hands behind his back, his face calm. "They never change," he said softly, "always trying to prove strength through fear." His second officer nodded. "Orders, sir?" Kane looked out at the massive fleet that surrounded them. The stars reflected in his eyes. "Hold position. Let them come." The Imperial Armada moved first. Energy cannons roared, railguns thundered, and thousands of missiles tore through the void. For a moment, the entire sector shone brighter than a star. The human ship vanished behind a curtain of light and fire. When the storm cleared, it was still there, unharmed. Its shields rippled like water, absorbing every strike, every desperate attack. Then it began to move, slowly, gracefully. Each motion carried weight like the turning of a planet. From the ship's lower hull, massive panels opened, revealing weapons older than the Empire itself. They glowed a cold white, almost beautiful. On the Imperial flagship, alarms screamed. Unknown energy buildup. It's charging something enormous. Varric shouted, "All ships, scatter!" Too late. A single beam of light erupted from the human ship. It was not fire, not plasma. It was pure energy, focused and silent. It passed through the Imperial line like a knife through smoke. Where it touched, ship simply ceased. No wrecks, no flames, just sudden absence. The fleet dissolved before Varric's eyes. He fell to his knees, the light from his dying ships flashing across his pale face. "Gods help us," he whispered. But in the human ship there was no celebration, no joy, only quiet. The crew carried out their orders with the calm of people who had seen too much war to take pride in it. Kane turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the surviving ships." The officer hesitated. "Sir, they are terrified." "Good," Kane said. "Maybe they will finally listen." He spoke through every remaining Imperial frequency, his voice steady and cold. "We warned you. We do not seek war. But if you choose it, we will finish it in a single breath." Silence followed. Across the surviving Imperial ships, weapons powered down one by one. Some captains surrendered. Others fled into hyperspace without orders. The Empire's pride, once untouchable, shattered like fragile glass. Back in the capital, the council received the final transmission. An elder counselor whispered, "What are they?" "Machines, gods." Another replied in a trembling voice, "No, they are what we once called human." On the battlefield, Kane looked at the wreckage and sighed. His second officer asked quietly, "Sir, what now?" Kane's eyes softened. "Now we remind them why humanity vanished. It wasn't weakness. It was choice." He ordered the ship to power down weapons. The engines dimmed, the great vessel drifting like a... The stars had grown quiet again. The battlefield that once burned with light now drifted in silence. Only fragments of metal and dim trails of energy remained, ghosts of the Empire's pride. The human warship floated in the center of that emptiness, untouched, unmoved, and eternal. It was a reminder of something older than the Empire itself, human will. Inside the ship, Captain Arden Kane stood alone before the observation glass. The reflection of distant stars danced across his face. He did not smile at the victory. There was no joy in what they had done. "Status?" he asked softly. His second officer's voice came from behind him. "All systems stable. Enemy fleets retreating. No further hostilities detected." Kane nodded slowly. "Good. Then we can speak." He ordered the communication systems online. A pulse of energy swept across the void, linking every open frequency in the sector. Empires, pirates, colonies, and outposts all heard the same voice. Calm, human. To all who hear this, humanity has not returned to conquer. We have returned to remember. Every signal tower in the Empire flickered. Holograms appeared in command rooms, homes, and starships, showing the image of the human vessel surrounded by the wreckage of the strongest armada in history. The silence that followed felt heavier than war itself. In the Imperial capital, the council watched in disbelief. The old emperor himself, a frail creature kept alive by machines, stared at the broadcast. "Impossible," he whispered. "They were extinct." A young officer whispered back, "Then, Majesty, extinction must fear them." The transmission continued. "Centuries ago you called us monsters. You called us extinct. You erased our worlds and claimed our skies. But you forgot one truth. Humans endure." Across the galaxy, people stopped to listen. Workers in the mining rings, slaves in dark factories, soldiers on forgotten worlds. All paused as that voice reached them. It carried warmth and power at once, a voice that felt both human and divine. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Varex lay wounded, his ship drifting without control. He listened too. His face was pale, his pride gone. "They speak like gods," he whispered, "but they bleed like men." Yet deep inside, even he felt respect, something the Empire had long forgotten. Kane's voice continued, steady and clear. "We do not seek your surrender. We seek your memory. You built your power on our ashes, and now the ashes speak. Remember the world called Earth. Remember who taught you to fear the dark. Remember who you tried to erase." The message spread beyond the Empire's reach, traveling through wormholes, relays, and deep space currents, until every corner of the galaxy carried the same signal. It became a story, a whisper, a warning. When the final words echoed, the human ship released hundreds of metallic spheres into space. They drifted outward, shining softly. Each carried a piece of data, a star map of lost human colonies, their coordinates, their histories, their forgotten songs. Planets that had never heard of humanity before now found themselves marked with symbols written in old Earth languages. Then the ship's engines flared, bright as dawn. The massive vessel turned toward the edge of the galaxy. On its hull, one symbol glowed clearly now, the emblem of Earth, a circle with blue and white lines crossing like the veins of a planet. Lerna, the young technician who had first seen the signal days ago, watched from her small station on the edge of Imperial space. She could not look away. She whispered, "They came back. Not to rule, but to remind us." As the human warship entered light speed, the stars bent around it. The ship vanished into the black, leaving behind only silence and an unspoken promise. For days, no one dared to speak its name. But across the galaxy, the story began to spread in quiet voices. Tales of the ship that returned from extinction, of the humans who spoke with calm fire, of the Empire that trembled. Some said there were more ships. Some said it was only the first. Rumors spoke of hidden human worlds preparing for something larger, something that would reshape everything the galaxy thought it knew. In the end, the Empire tried to hide the truth, but truth has a way of escaping cages. Children began drawing the symbol of Earth on walls. Soldiers whispered old words like hope, honor, and freedom. And in the quiet places of the universe, when the stars flickered faintly, some swore they saw the glow of that same warship watching from afar. Humanity had not come to conquer. Humanity had come to remind the galaxy what it meant to stand unbroken. And though the warship was gone, its final words continued to echo through every star, every world, every soul. We are humanity. We endure. And we will be remembered